Today we have a question about my recent video on the impending audit by Doge of Fort Knox and how it might be related to gold-backed currency and NESARA. Once again, the question is one of urgency. When? That's the question everyone wants to know. This time, the familiar question took my thought in a different direction. I've said much of it before, but things are becoming a little clearer each day, and I think this is a great opportunity to elaborate on a potential timeline with the recent events that we have seen. I don't think that those in financial straits are going to have to wait too much longer. I will elaborate in my answer to DogMom19, who said,
"Great news. So when is it going to happen? People are suffering financially."
I'm thinking the switch to gold-backed currency won't be before July 1st because Basel III isn't effective till then. But who knows? Maybe the good guys can make it happen before then and screw the global banks. That would all make us feel good, wouldn't it? But I think President Trump is going to stick to the letter of the law. He's going to correct this corrupt system. And if people acted with criminal intent, he's going to prosecute them. Don't know for sure. Only that there is a lot of really tricky stuff going on and the deep state is not going away easily, but then we never expected them to. Nobody owes all of this relief to us except our governments and the evil people that we voted in, allegedly. I say allegedly because I heard back in my 20s that presidents were chosen, not elected. I've known for a couple decades and I've seen videos of the central voting machines and how they can flip votes in an instant. Also, there is also a widely reported account that Richard Nixon was selected as president via a handshake at Bohemian Grove, which is the vacation capital of the elite, weird, and perverted who happen to rule the world. Deep in the redwood forests of California, this secluded retreat known as Bohemian Grove has long been the subject of speculation and secrecy. Each summer, some of the world's most powerful figures, politicians, business leaders, and media moguls, gather for 2 weeks of rituals, roundtable discussions, games, and elaborate performances. Bohemian Grove is a men's event where the people running the world wear hooded robes and burn an effigy before a massive 40-foot stone owl known as Moloch. Moloch is an ancient deity associated with child sacrifice, fire, and war. The name appears in biblical texts, often condemned as a false god linked to ritualistic offerings. You will likely begin to hear about the satanic connection, but I think we are a way down the line for that disclosure to come out, maybe a year or more. I think it just depends on the deprogramming that must occur in many. There's an amazing plan underway, but nothing is etched in stone yet. It is a war, guys. A real war in the courts, in the media, and with the weather. Nothing is off limits to these people, so remember that. I'm sure most of you realize what they are doing, trying to use the courts to stop Trump, Musk, Hegseth, and Cash from exposing them. It is futile. Trump is removing Obama and Biden-appointed judges. It seems that the strategy is to stop the crimes and then prosecute, which is the way it should be. If we are a little light on judges, that would be better than having these weaponized judges who can still cause delays. I think they will all fail at the Supreme Court level, but they don't care. They want every second to cover up their crimes and think of a way to thwart President Trump. Trust me on this. These owned politicians on both sides will do everything they can to stop what is coming, but they can't. I was going to cover this in a different video, but it seems appropriate here. We see the meltdowns of the liberal all over the media, and we joke about it, but it's beginning to occur to me that it's more than a joke at this point. At first, I thought some deprogramming techniques might work. President Trump has already written an executive order on this. Along with the banning of gender-affirming care in minors, he is asking the Board of Education to promote the nuclear family, which is a traditional family structure consisting of two parents, a mother and father, and their children living together in a single household. That's very important, but it's not going to change the damage that's been done. I suspect that there will be education for the parents because the child has absolutely no responsibility for keeping the family together. But beyond that, people need help now. I look at some of these people and I always look at their eyes. I did an internship at the VA Psyche Ward in Gainesville, Florida. The eyes always give it away. There are so many delusional people who are imagining things that aren't happening. They exhibit paranoia, and some are even calling for violence and even assassination. These people are a harm to themselves and society, and what makes this situation so unique is that instead of others helping them to come back to reality, their peers are just as sick as they are and merely fuel the fire. We have a huge problem with mental health in our society, and I don't know how they're going to handle it. Looking at some of these people documenting their illness online, I was wondering if there is some way to Baker Act them and do some intensive therapy. Should we be paying for it? Before you answer, remember that many of these people are American citizens who were particularly susceptible to deliberate brainwashing. The government has literally done this to them without their consent or knowledge. How do we help these people? I don't think it's going to go away easily. I want to say that I do think there will be temporary relief before that time. They are talking about $5,000 checks, or Trump mentioned 20% would go back to taxpayers as a result of the immediate payments that have been stopped by DOJ. So I would expect to hear of temporary relief of some sort within the next month or so. But we are just entering the golden age. I expect to see significant Social Security increases due to the Medicaid and Medicare fraud savings, maybe over the next 3 months. So I think there will soon be relief for those in need, including FEMA for people damaged by all these weather phenomena. The NESARA relief will likely come at or after the change to gold-backed currency. The question is, are they trying to push the gold back before Basel III, or has a deal been cut? Maybe we are looking at a 1 or 2 month period around July 1st, and another community member, Patricia Crosby 5053, felt the same way. Patricia made a comment that crossed my mind, but I wouldn't put it past Trump. Remember Mount Rushmore? Trump is big on the 4th of July, that's for sure. So I'm sure that many of us are hoping that our patriots in charge just might be that sentimental. Let's see. As far as the med beds, I've always said by the end of the year or so. There are people saying that the med beds have been released, but of course you can't speak to anyone who is using them, and they can't even explain the various tiers to you. That really bugs me. If someone purports to have been entrusted with such sensitive information, you'd think they'd know who is included in the various tiers. Just be careful, guys. Don't get your hopes up on the word of someone trying to profit from your pain. To me, that is unforgivable and a very dark vibration. It's happening, but you must learn to think, guys. You must be able to recognize evil. One good thing is that when reporters ask Trump if inflation is going to skyrocket, he consistently says, maybe. But I don't think so. I think they have taken measures to make this go as smoothly as possible. So when we ask, when will the deep state be gone? The answer is never. Evil will always exist, and it's unrealistic to believe that we can completely eradicate these sick people. We can, however, disempower them and punish them for what they have done to mankind, and that's what these DOJ investigations are gathering evidence to do. For the first time, the deep state has been challenged by an organized and formidable enemy who won't stop until the evil ones are destroyed. We can refuse to put any more of our hard-earned money into these coffers established to keep us in poverty. I get it. Tim and I went to buy a simple drill bit. We went to all of the local stores, and the only place that we could get what we needed was from Amazon. It's hard, but we did try first to go local. For these reasons, it's gotten to the point that we think we can't live without the Matrix, but we will never be in a better place to stop this insanity. So I encourage you to support the policies of the Trump administration. Don't listen to the propaganda about how the richest man in the world wants to steal your money for himself. It's just not logical, guys. Every day, billions of your tax dollars are being put back into your pockets, and the only ones stealing from you are the people who screaming the most and accusing true patriots of every lie under the sun. If you are worried about your personal data, perhaps you should look to the many tax applications and Venmo, who the IRS shares your personal information with, and not one of them have security clearance to see it. Musk and his Doge investigators, however, have top secret clearance, and for the first time since the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. It's time to wake up from the lies. We can do it if we are really committed to a future free from financial enslavement. Make up your mind. Do you want trillions of your dollars lost to corruption, waste, and incompetence? Or are you ready to punish the deep state and its puppets? That is when the deep state will die. When the people of the world quit buying into the lies. Make up your mind, black or white. Is it time to stop the corruption, or do you want to be a slave for the rest of your life? If so, then don't spread the lies. Don't feed the mentally ill people who need deprogramming from the propaganda that they were raised with. Until next time, I have a quote from a very special patriot, Benjamin Franklin, who said, "There is no kind of dishonesty into which otherwise good people more easily and frequently fall than that of defrauding the government." Don't be a sheep. Now is the time of our empowerment.